Taylor Allison Swift, born December 13, 1989, is an American singer-songwriter. Her discography spans multiple genres, and her narrative songwriting, which is often inspired by her personal life, has received widespread media coverage and critical praise. Born in West Reading, Pennsylvania, Swift relocated to Nashville, Tennessee, at the age of 14 to pursue a career in country music. She signed a songwriting deal with Sony ATV Music Publishing in 2004 and a recording deal with Big Machine Records in 2005, and released her eponymous debut studio album in 2006. Swift explored country pop on her second and third studio albums, Fearless, 2008, and Speak Now, 2010. The success of the singles Love Story and You Belong With Me on both country and pop radio established her as a leading crossover artist. Swift experimented further with pop, rock, and electronic genres on her fourth studio album, Red, 2012, which was supported by the singles We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together and I Knew You Were Trouble. With her synth-pop fifth studio album 1989, 2014, and its singles Shake It Off, Blank Space, and Bad Blood, she shed her country image and transitioned to pop completely. The subsequent intense media scrutiny on Swift's personal life inspired her sixth studio album Reputation, 2017, which delved into urban sounds, led by the single Look What You Made Me Do. Parting ways with Big Machine to sign with Republic Records in 2018, Swift released her seventh studio album, Lover, in 2019. Inspired by escapism during the COVID-19 pandemic, she ventured into indie folk and alternative rock on her 2020 studio albums, Folklore and Evermore, receiving acclaim for their nuanced storytelling. To gain ownership over the masters of her back catalog, Swift released two re-recorded albums in 2021, Fearless, Taylor's version, and Red, Taylor's version. Besides music, she has played supportive acting roles in films such as Valentine's Day, 2010, and Cats, 2019. Swift has released the autobiographical documentary Miss Americana, 2020, and the self-directed musical films Folklore, The Long Pond Studio Sessions, 2020, and All Too Well, the short film, 2021, among other specials. Having sold over 200 million records worldwide, Swift is one of the best-selling musicians of all time. She has scored 8 Billboard Hot 100 #1 songs, including All Too Well, 10-minute version, the longest song ever to top the chart. Her accolades include 11 Grammy Awards, including 3 Album of the Year wins, an Emmy Award, 12 Country Music Association Awards, 25 Billboard Music Awards, the most wins for a female artist, 34 American Music Awards, the most wins for an artist, and 55 Guinness World Records. She featured on Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Songwriters of All Time, 2015, placed 8th on Billboard's Greatest of All Time Artists list, 2019, and appeared multiple times on listicles such as the Time 100 and the Forbes Celebrity 100. Named the Woman of the 2010s Decade by Billboard and the Artist of the 2010s Decade by the American Music Awards, Swift has been recognized for her influential career as well as advocacy of artists' rights and women's empowerment in the music industry. Contents: 1 Life and Career. 1.1 1989 to 2003, Early Life and Education. 1.2 2004 to 2008, Career Beginnings and First Album. 1.3 2008 to 2010, Fearless and Acting Debut. 1.4 2010 to 2012, Speak Now. 1.5 2012 to 2014, Red. 1.6 2014 to 2017, 1989. 1.7 2017 to 2018, Reputation. 1.8 2018 to 2020, Lover and Masters Dispute. 1.9 2020 Present, Folklore, Evermore, and Re-recordings. 2 Artistry. 2.1 Influences. 2.2 Musical styles. 2.3 Voice. 2.4 Songwriting. 2.5 Music videos. 3 Public image. 3.1 Fashion. 4 Impact. 5 Accolades and achievements. 6 Discography. 6.1 Studio albums. 6.2 Re-recordings. 7 Filmography. 8 Tours. 9 Other activities. 9.1 Wealth and properties. 9.2 Philanthropy. 9.3 Politics and activism. 9.4 Endorsements. 10 See also. 11 Footnotes. 12 References. 13 External links. Life and career. 1989 to 2003, early life and education. Swift's childhood home in Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. Taylor Allison Swift was born on December 13, 1989, 3, at the Reading Hospital in West Reading, Pennsylvania. 4. Her father, Scott Kingsley Swift, is a former stockbroker for Merrill Lynch. 5. Her mother, Andrea Gardner Swift, née Finley, is a former homemaker who previously worked as a mutual fund marketing executive. 6. Her younger brother, Austin, is an actor. 7. She was named after singer-songwriter James Taylor. 8, and has Scottish 9, and German heritage. Some of her antecedents worked in the music industry. 10. Swift's paternal great-great-grandfather was an Italian immigrant entrepreneur and community leader who opened several businesses in Philadelphia in the 1800s. 11-12. She spent her early years on a Christmas tree farm that her father purchased from one of his clients. 13-14. Swift identifies as a Christian. 15. She attended preschool and kindergarten at the Alvernia Montessori School, run by the Bernardine Franciscan Sisters. 16. Before transferring to the Windcroft School. 17. The family moved to a rented house in the suburban town of Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. 18. Where she attended Wyomissing Area Junior, Senior High School. 19. At age 9, Swift became interested in musical theater and performed in 4 Berks Youth Theater Academy productions. 20. She also traveled regularly to New York City for vocal and acting lessons. 21. Swift later shifted her focus toward country music, inspired by Shania Twain songs, which made her want to just run around the block 4 times and daydream about everything. 22. She spent weekends performing at local festivals and events. 23-24. After watching a documentary about Faith Hill, Swift felt sure she needed to move to Nashville, Tennessee, to pursue a career in music. 25. She traveled with her mother at age 11 to visit Nashville record labels and submitted demo tapes of Dolly Parton and the Chicks karaoke covers. 26. She was rejected, however, because everyone in that town wanted to do what I wanted to do. So, I kept thinking to myself, I need to figure out a way to be different. 27. When Swift was around 12 years old, computer repairman and local musician Ronnie Kramer taught her to play guitar. He helped with her first efforts as a songwriter, leading her to write Lucky You. 28. In 2003, Swift and her parents started working with New York-based talent manager Dan Dimtro. With his help, Swift modeled for Abercrombie & Fitch as part of their Rising Stars campaign, had an original song included on a Maybelline compilation CD, and attended meetings with major record labels. 29. After performing original songs at an RCA Records showcase, Swift was given an artist development deal and began making frequent trips to Nashville with her mother. 30-31. To help Swift break into country music, her father transferred to Merrill Lynch's Nashville office when she was 14 years old, and the family relocated to a lakefront house in Hendersonville, Tennessee. 13-32. Swift initially attended Hendersonville High School 33, before transferring to the Aaron Academy after 2 years, which could better accommodate her touring schedule through homeschooling. She graduated a year early. 34. 2004 to 2008, career beginnings and first album. In Nashville, Swift worked with experienced Music Row songwriters such as Troy Verges, Brett Beavers, Brett James, Mac McAnally, and the Warren Brothers, 35-36, and formed a lasting working relationship with Liz Rose. 37, they began meeting for 2-hour writing sessions every Tuesday afternoon after school. 38, Rose thought the sessions were some of the easiest I've ever done. Basically, I was just her editor. She'd write about what happened in school that day. She had such a clear vision of what she was trying to say. And she'd come in with the most incredible hooks. Swift became the youngest artist signed by the Sony ATV Tree Publishing House 39, but left the Sony-owned RCA Records at the age of 14. 24, she recalled, I genuinely felt that I was running out of time. I wanted to capture these years of my life on an album while they still represented what I was going through. 40. At an industry showcase at Nashville's Bluebird Cafe in 2005, Swift caught the attention of Scott Borchetta, a DreamWorks Records executive who was preparing to form an independent record label, Big Machine Records. She had first met Borchetta in 2004. 41. Swift became one of Big Machine's first signings, and her father purchased a 3% stake in the company for an estimated $120,000. 42-43, she began working on her eponymous debut album shortly after. Swift persuaded Big Machine to hire her demo producer Nathan Chapman, with whom she felt she had the right chemistry. 24, she wrote 3 of the album's songs alone, and co-wrote the remaining 8 with Rose, Robert Ellis Oral, Brian Marr, and Angelo Petraglia. 44, Taylor Swift was released on October 24, 2006. 45, John Caramanica of the New York Times described it as a small masterpiece of pop-minded country, both wide-eyed and cynical, held together by Miss Swift's firm, pleading voice. 46, Taylor Swift peaked at number 5 on the U.S. Billboard 200, where it spent 157 weeks, the longest stay on the chart by any release in the U.S. in the 2000s decade. 47. Taylor Swift singing on the microphone and playing a guitar. Swift opening for Brad Paisley in 2007. To promote her first album, she opened tours for other country musicians in 2007 to 2008. 48. Big Machine Records was still in its infancy during the June 2006 release of the lead single, Tim McGraw. Swift and her mother helped stuff the CD singles into envelopes to send to radio. 49. She spent much of 2006 promoting Taylor Swift with a radio tour, television appearances, and opening for Rascal Flatts on select dates during their 2006 Tour 50, after they fired their previous opening act, Eric Church, for playing longer than his allotted time. Church jokingly told Swift she should give him her first gold record as thanks for getting fired. She sent him her first gold record with a note that said, "Thanks for playing too long and too loud on the Flats tour. I sincerely appreciate it." Taylor. 51. Borchetta said that although record industry peers initially disapproved of his signing a 16-year-old singer-songwriter, Swift tapped into a previously unknown market, teenage girls who listened to country music. 13. Following Tim McGraw, 4 more singles were released throughout 2007 and 2008, Teardrops on My Guitar, Our Song, Picture to Burn and Should Have Said No. All appeared on Billboard's Hot Country Songs, with Our Song, and Should Have Said No reaching number 1. With Our Song, Swift became the youngest person to single-handedly write and sing a number 1 song on the chart. 52, Teardrops on My Guitar reached number 13 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. 53, Swift also released the holiday album Sounds of the Season, the Taylor Swift Holiday Collection in October 2007 and the EP Beautiful Eyes in July 2008. 54-55, she promoted her debut album extensively as the opening act for other country musicians' tours throughout 2006 and 2007, including George Strait. 56, Brad Paisley, 57, and Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, 58. Swift won accolades for Taylor Swift. She was one of the recipients of the Nashville Songwriters Association's Songwriter, Artist of the Year in 2007, becoming the youngest person to be honored with the title. 59. She also won the Country Music Association's Horizon Award for Best New Artist. 60. The Academy of Country Music Awards Top New Female Vocalist. 61. And the American Music Awards Favorite Country Female Artist honor. 62. She was also nominated for Best New Artist at the 50th Annual Grammy Awards. 63. She opened for the Rascal Flatts on their 2008 summer and fall tour. 64. In July of that year, Swift began a romance with singer Joe Jonas that ended 3 months later. 65-66. 2008 to 2010, Fearless and acting debut. Swift's second studio album, Fearless, was released on November 11, 2008. 67. 5 singles were released in 2008 through 2009, Love Story, White Horse, You Belong With Me, 15, and Fearless. Love Story, the lead single, peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 153, and number 1 in Australia. 68, You Belong With Me was the album's highest charting single on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 2. 69. All 5 singles were Billboard Hot Country Songs Top 10 entries, with Love Story and You Belong With Me peaking at number 1. 70. Fearless debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and was the top-selling album of 2009 in the US. 71. The Fearless Tour, Swift's first headlining concert tour, 72, grossed over $63 million. 73. Journey to Fearless, a 3-part documentary miniseries, was aired on television and later released on DVD and Blu-ray. 74. Swift also performed as a supporting act for Keith Urban's Escape Together World Tour in 2009. 75. Taylor Swift in 2009. Pictured at the 2009 premiere of Hannah Montana, the movie, Swift had a cameo appearance in the film and wrote 2 songs for its soundtrack. 76-77. In 2009, the music video for You Belong With Me was named Best Female Video at the MTV Video Music Awards. 78. Her acceptance speech was interrupted by rapper Kanye West. 79. An incident that became the subject of controversy, widespread media attention, and many internet memes. 80. James Montgomery of MTV argued that the incident and subsequent media attention turned Swift into a bona fide mainstream celebrity. 81. That year she won 5 American Music Awards, including Artist of the Year and Favorite Country Album. 82. Billboard named her 2009's Artist of the Year. 83. The album ranked number 99 on NPR's 2017 list of the 150 greatest albums made by women. 84. She won Video of the Year and Female Video of the Year for Love Story at the 2009 CMT Music Awards, where she made a parody video of the song with rapper T-Pain called Thug Story. 85. At the 52nd Annual Grammy Awards, Fearless was named Album of the Year and Best Country Album, and White Horse was named Best Country Song and Best Female Country Vocal Performance. Swift was the youngest artist to win Album of the Year. During the ceremony, Swift sang You Belong With Me and Rhiannon with Stevie Nicks, a performance that received negative reviews and caused media backlash. 81-88. John Caramanica of the New York Times found it refreshing to see someone so gifted make the occasional flub. 89. At the 2009 Country Music Association Awards, Swift won Album of the Year for Fearless and was named Entertainer of the Year, the youngest person to win the honor. 90. Swift featured on John Mayer's single Half of My Heart, 91, and Boys Like Girls single 2 Is Better Than 1, both of which she co-wrote. 92. She co-wrote and recorded Best Days of Your Life with Kelly Pickler, 93, and co-wrote 2 songs for the Hannah Montana, The movie soundtrack, You'll Always Find Your Way Back Home and Crazier. 77. She contributed 2 songs to the Valentine's Day soundtrack, including the single Today Was a Fairy Tale, which was her first #1 on the Canadian Hot 100, and peaked at #2 on the Billboard Hot 100. 94-95. While filming her cinematic debut Valentine's Day in October 2009, Swift began a romantic relationship with co-star Taylor Lautner. They broke up later that year. 96. Valentine's Day saw her play the ditzy girlfriend of a high school jock, a role which received mixed reviews. 97-98. Swift made her TV acting debut in a 2009 episode of CBS's CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, playing a rebellious teenager. 99. Later that year, Swift hosted and performed as the musical guest on an episode of Saturday Night Live. She was the first host to write her own opening monologue. 100-101. 2010-2012, Speak Now. Swift singing into a mic while playing a banjo. Swift performing at the Speak Now World Tour in 2012. In August 2010, Swift released Mine, the lead single from her 3rd studio album, Speak Now. It entered the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 at #3. 102. Swift wrote the album alone and co-produced every track. 103. Speak Now, released on October 25, 2010. 104. Debuted atop the Billboard 200 with first-week sales of 1 million copies. 105. It became the fastest-selling digital album by a female artist, with 278,000 downloads in a week, earning Swift an entry in the 2010 Guinness World Records. 106. The songs Mine, Back to December, Mean, The Story of Us, Sparks Fly, and Hours were released as singles. All except The Story of Us were Hot Country Songs top 3 entries, with Sparks Fly and Hours reaching #1. 70. Back to December and Mean peaked in the top 10 in Canada. 95. Later in 2010, she briefly dated actor Jake Gyllenhaal. 107. During her tour dates for 2011, she wrote the lyrics of various songs written by other people on her left arm. 108. At the 54th Annual Grammy Awards in 2012, Swift won Best Country Song and Best Country Solo Performance for Mean, which she performed during the ceremony. 109. Media publications noted the performance as an improvement from her much-criticized 2010 Grammy performance, which served as a testament to her abilities as a musician. 110-111. Swift won other awards for Speak Now, including Songwriter, Artist of the Year by the Nashville Songwriters Association, 2010 and 2011, 112-113, Woman of the Year by Billboard, 2011, 114, and Entertainer of the Year by the Academy of Country Music, 2011 and 2012, 115, and the Country Music Association in 2011. 116. At the American Music Awards of 2011, Swift won Artist of the Year and Favorite Country Album. 117. Rolling Stone placed Speak Now at number 45 in its 2012 list of the 50 best female albums of all time, writing, "She might get played on the country station, but she's one of the few genuine rock stars we've got these days, with a flawless ear for what makes a song click." 118. The Speak Now World Tour ran from February 2011 to March 2012 and grossed over $123 million. 119. In November 2011, Swift released a live album, Speak Now World Tour, Live. 120. She contributed 2 original songs to the Hunger Games soundtrack album, Safe and Sound, co-written and recorded with the Civil Wars and T-Bone Burnett, and Eyes Open. Safe and Sound won the Grammy Award for Best Song Written for Visual Media and was nominated for the Golden Globe Award for Best Original Song. 121-122. Swift featured on B.O.B.'s single Both of Us, released in May 2012. 123, from July to September 2012, Swift dated political heir Conor Kennedy, son of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Mary Richardson Kennedy. 124. 2012 to 2014, Red. In August 2012, Swift released We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, the lead single from her fourth studio album, Red. It became her first #1 in the US and New Zealand, 125-126, and reached the top slot on iTunes Digital Song Sales Chart 50 minutes after its release, earning the fastest-selling single in digital history Guinness World Record. 127. Other singles released from the album include Begin Again, I Knew You Were Trouble, 22, Everything Has Changed, The Last Time, and Red. I Knew You Were Trouble reached the top 5 on charts in Australia, Canada, Denmark, Ireland, New Zealand, the UK and the US. 128, 3 singles, Begin Again, 22, and Red, reached the top 20 in the US. 53. Taylor Swift strumming a guitar. Swift on the Red Tour in 2013. Red was released on October 22, 2012. 129. On Red, Swift worked with new producers besides longtime collaborators Nathan Chapman and Liz Rose, Max Martin, Shellback, Dan Huff, Jeff Basker, Butch Walker, Dan Wilson, and Jack Knife Lee. 130. The album incorporates new genres for Swift, such as heartland rock, dubstep and dance pop. 131. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 with first-week sales of 1.21 million copies. This made Swift the first female to have 2 million selling album openings, a record recognized by the Guinness World Records. 132-133, it was Swift's first #1 album in the UK. 134, the Red Tour ran from March 2013 to June 2014 and grossed over $150 million, becoming the highest-grossing country tour when it completed. 135. Red had sold 8 million copies by 2014. 136. The album earned several accolades, including 4 nominations at the 56th Annual Grammy Awards in 2014. 137. Its single I Knew You Were Trouble won Best Female Video at the 2013 MTV Video Music Awards. 138. Swift received American Music Awards for Best Female Country Artist in 2012, and Artist of the Year in 2013. 139-140. She received the Nashville Songwriters Association Songwriter Artist Award for the 5th and 6th consecutive years in 2012 and 2013. 141. Swift was honored by the association with a special Pinnacle Award, making her the second recipient of the accolade after Garth Brooks. 142. During this time, she had a short-term relationship with English singer Harry Styles. 143. In 2013, Swift recorded Sweeter Than Fiction, a song she wrote and produced with Jack Antonoff for the One Chance film soundtrack. The song received a Best Original Song nomination at the 71st Golden Globe Awards. 144. She provided guest vocals for Tim McGraw's song Highway Don't Care, featuring guitar work by Keith Urban. 145. Swift performed as Tears Go By with the Rolling Stones in Chicago, Illinois as part of the band's 50 and Counting tour. 146. She joined Florida Georgia Line on stage during their set at the 2013 Country Radio Seminar to Sing Cruise. 147. Swift voiced Audrey, a tree lover, in the animated film The Lorax, 2012. 148. Made a cameo in the sitcom New Girl, 2013, 149, and had a supporting role in the film adaptation of The Giver, 2014. 150. 2014 to 2017, 1989. In March 2014, Swift lived in New York City. Around this time, she was working on her fifth studio album, 1989, with producers Jack Antonoff, Max Martin, Shellback, Imogen Heap, Ryan Tedder, and Ali Pyami. 153, she promoted the album through various campaigns, including inviting fans to secret album listening sessions. 154, influenced by 1980s synth-pop, Swift severed ties with the country sound of her previous albums, and marketed 1989 as her first documented, official pop album. 155, the album was released on October 27, 2014. 156. Taylor Swift is performing on stage with a mic in her right hand. Swift performing at the 1989 World Tour, the highest-grossing tour of 2015. 1989 sold 1.28 million copies in the U.S. during the first week of release and debuted atop the Billboard 200. This made Swift the first act to have 3 albums sell more than 1 million copies in their opening week, for which she earned a Guinness World Record. 157-158, by June 2017, 1989 had sold over 10 million copies worldwide. 159, 3 of its singles, Shake It Off, Blank Space, and Bad Blood featuring rapper Kendrick Lamar, reached number 1 in Australia, Canada, and the US. 160, the singles Style and Wildest Dreams reached the top 10 in the US. 161, other singles were Out of the Woods and New Romantics. 162, the 1989 World Tour ran from May to December 2015 and was the highest-grossing tour of the year with $250 million in total revenue. 163. Prior to 1989's release, Swift stressed the importance of albums to artists and fans. 164. In November 2014, she removed her entire catalog from Spotify, arguing that the streaming companies that supported free service undermined the premium service, which provides higher royalties for songwriters. 165. In a June 2015 open letter, Swift criticized Apple Music for not offering royalties to artists during the streaming service's free 3-month trial period and stated that she would pull 1989 from the catalog. 166. The following day, Apple announced that it would pay artists during the free trial period. 167, and Swift agreed to stream 1989 on the streaming service. 168. Swift's intellectual property rights management and holding company, DAS Rights Management, filed for 73 trademarks related to Swift and the 1989 era memes. 169. She re-added her entire catalog plus 1989 to Spotify, Amazon Music and Google Play and other digital streaming platforms in June 2017. 159. Swift was named Billboard's Woman of the Year in 2014, becoming the first artist to win the award twice. 170. At the 2014 American Music Awards, Swift received the inaugural Dick Clark Award for Excellence. 171. In 2015, Swift won the Brit Award for International Female Solo Artist. 172. The video for Bad Blood won Video of the Year and Best Collaboration at the 2015 MTV Video Music Awards. 173. Swift was one of 8 artists to receive a 50th Anniversary Milestone Award at the 2015 Academy of Country Music Awards. 174. At the 58th Grammy Awards in 2016, 1989 won Album of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Album, and Bad Blood won Best Music Video. Swift was the first woman and 5th act overall to win Album of the Year twice as a lead artist. 175. Swift dated Scottish DJ and record producer Calvin Harris from March 2015 to June 2016. 176. Prior to their breakup, they co-wrote the song This Is What You Came For, which features vocals from Barbadian singer Rihanna. Swift was initially credited under the pseudonym Nils Sjoberg. 177. She subsequently dated English actor Tom Hiddleston for a few months. 178. In June 2016, Kanye West released his single Famous, which contained a controversial lyric mentioning Swift in regards to his interruption of her 2009 VMA acceptance speech. Swift criticized West, who stated she approved to the lyric beforehand, a claim that Swift denied. Months later, West's wife Kim Kardashian released a video of a phone call between Swift and West in which Swift appears to approve a portion of the lyric, 179-180, following which #Taylor Swift is snake trended on Twitter. In 2020, a 25-minute uncut video of the phone call surfaced, establishing that West did not tell Swift about the specific line, "I made that bitch famous," which she had objected to. 181. Swift began dating English actor Joe Alwyn in September 2016. 182. She wrote the song Better Man for Little Big Town's seventh album, The Breaker, which was released in November. The song earned Swift an award for Song of the Year at the 51st CMA Awards. 184. Swift and English singer Zayn Malik released a single together, I Don't Wanna Live Forever, for the soundtrack of the film 50 Shades Darker, 2017. The song reached number 2 in the U.S. 185, and won Best Collaboration at the 2017 MTV Video Music Awards. 186. 2017 to 2018, Reputation. Swift wearing a black and gray pattern bodysuit standing in front of a microphone singing. Swift on her Reputation Stadium Tour, 2018, the highest-grossing North American tour of all time. In August 2017, Swift successfully sued David Mueller, a former morning show personality for Denver's KYGO-FM. 4 years earlier, Swift had informed Mueller's bosses that he had sexually assaulted her by groping her at an event. After being fired, Mueller accused Swift of lying and sued her for damages from his loss of employment. Shortly after, Swift countersued for sexual assault for nominal damages of only $1. 187. The jury rejected Mueller's claims and ruled in favor of Swift. 188. After a year of hiatus from public spotlight, Swift cleared her social media accounts. 189, and released Look What You Made Me Do as the lead single from her sixth album, Reputation. 190. The single was Swift's first #1 UK single. 191. It topped charts in Australia, Ireland, New Zealand, and the US. 192. Reputation was released on November 10, 2017. 193. The album incorporates a heavy electropop sound, with hip-hop, R&B and EDM influences. 194. It debuted atop the Billboard 200 with first-week sales of 1.21 million copies. With this achievement, Swift became the first act to have 4 albums sell 1 million copies within 1 week in the US. 195. The album topped the charts in the UK, Australia, and Canada. 196. First week worldwide sales amounted to 2 million copies. 197. The album had sold over 4.5 million copies worldwide as of 2018. 198. It spawned 3 other international singles, including the US top 5 entry Ready For It. 199, and 2 US top 20 singles, Endgame, featuring Ed Sheeran and rapper Future, and Delegate. 162. Other singles include New Year's Day, which was exclusively released to US country radio, 200, and Getaway Car, which was released in Australia only. 201. In April 2018, Swift featured on Sugarland's Babe from their album Bigger. In support of Reputation, she embarked on her Reputation Stadium Tour, which ran from May to November 2018. 203. In the US, the tour grossed $266.1 million in box office and sold over 2 million tickets, breaking Swift's own record for the highest-grossing U.S. tour by a woman, which was previously held by her 1989 World Tour in 2015, $181.5 million. 204, it also broke the record for the highest-grossing North American concert tour in history. Worldwide, the tour grossed $345.7 million, 205, making it the second highest-grossing concert tour of the year. 206, in late November, Big Machine Records released a Reputation Stadium Tour playlist for streaming services. The playlist includes every song performed on B stages during the Reputation Stadium Tour. 207, on December 31st, Swift released her Reputation Stadium Tour's accompanying concert film on Netflix. 208. Reputation was nominated for Best Pop Vocal Album at the 61st Annual Grammy Awards in 2019. 209. At the American Music Awards of 2018, Swift won 4 awards, including Artist of the Year and Favorite Pop, Rock Female Artist. After the 2018 AMAs, Swift garnered a total of 23 awards, becoming the most awarded female musician in AMA history, a record previously held by Whitney Houston. 210. 2018 to 2020, Lover and Masters Dispute. Reputation was Swift's last album under her 12-year contract with Big Machine Records. In November 2018, she signed a new multi-album deal with Big Machine's distributor Universal Music Group. In the U.S., her subsequent releases were promoted under the Republic Records imprint. Swift said the contract included a provision for her to maintain ownership of her master recordings. In addition, in the event that Universal sells any part of its stake in Spotify, Spotify agreed to distribute a non-recoupable portion of the proceeds among their artists. 211. A Portrait of Swift. Swift at the 2019 iHeartRadio Music Awards. Swift released her 7th studio album, Lover, on August 23, 2019. 212. Besides longtime collaborator Jack Antonoff, Swift worked with new producers Louis Bell, Frank Dukes, and Joe Little. 213. Lover was Swift's 6th consecutive album to sell more than 500,000 copies in 1 week in the U.S., making Swift the first female artist to do so. 214. All 18 songs from the album charted on the Billboard Hot 100 the same week, setting a record for the most simultaneous entries by a woman. 215. The lead single, Me, debuted at number 100 on the Billboard Hot 100 and rose to number 2 a week later, scoring the biggest single-week jump in chart history. 216. Other singles from Lover were the U.S. Top 10 singles You Need to Calm Down and Lover, and U.S. Top 40 single The Man. 53. Lover was the world's best-selling studio album of 2019, selling 3.2 million copies. 217. The International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, IFPI, honored Swift as the global best-selling artist of 2019. This made Swift the first woman to win the honor twice. She had previously won in 2014. 218. The album earned accolades, including 3 nominations at the 62nd Annual Grammy Awards in 2020. 219. At the 2019 MTV Video Music Awards, Me won Best Visual Effects, and You Need to Calm Down won Video of the Year and Video for Good. Swift was the first female and second artist overall to win Video of the Year for a video that they directed. 220. Swift won 6 awards at the 2019 American Music Awards, including Artist of the Year and Artist of the Decade. 221. Swift played Bombalurina in the movie adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical Cats, 2019. 222. She recorded an original song called Beautiful Ghosts, which she wrote with Webber for the film's soundtrack. 223. The song earned Swift additional nominations for Best Original Song and Best Song Written for Visual Media at the 77th Golden Globe Awards and the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards, respectively. 224-225. Although critics reviewed the film negatively, Swift received positive feedback for her role and musical performance. 226. The documentary Ms. Americana, which chronicles part of Swift's life and career, premiered at the 2020 Sundance Film Festival and was released on Netflix on January 31, 2020. 227-228. Miss Americana features the song Only the Young, which Swift wrote after the 2018 United States elections. 229. In February 2020, Swift signed an exclusive global publishing deal with Universal Music Publishing Group, after her 16-year-old contract with Sony ATV Music Publishing expired. 230. During promotion for Lover in 2019, Swift became embroiled in a publicized dispute with talent manager Scooter Braun and her former label Big Machine, regarding the acquisition of the masters of her back catalog. 231. Swift stated on her Tumblr blog that she had been trying to buy the masters for years, but Big Machine only allowed her to do so if she exchanged a new album for an older one under another contract, which she chose not to do. 231-232. In April 2020, Big Machine released Live from Clear Channel Stripped 2008, a live album of Swift's performances at a 2008 radio show, which Swift did not authorize. 233. In October, Braun sold Swift's masters, videos and artworks, to Shamrock Holdings for a reported $300 million. 234. Swift began re-recording her back catalog in November 2020. 235. 2020 present, Folklore, Evermore, and re-recordings. In 2020, Swift released 2 surprise albums with little promotion, to critical acclaim. 236. The first, her 8th studio album Folklore, was released on July 24. 237. The second, her 9th studio album Evermore, was released on December 11. 238. Swift wrote and recorded the albums while in isolation during the COVID-19 pandemic, working with producers Jack Antonoff and Aaron Dessner from The National. Both albums feature collaborations with Bon Iver, and Evermore features collaborations with The National and Haim. 239. Swift's boyfriend Joe Alwyn co-wrote and co-produced select songs under the pseudonym William Bowery. 240. The making of Folklore was discussed in the concert documentary Folklore, The Long Pond Studio Sessions, directed by Swift and released on November 25. 241. Described by Swift and Dessner as sister records, both albums embrace indie folk and alternative rock, departing from the previous upbeat pop releases. 242-243. In the U.S., Folklore and Evermore were each supported by 3 singles, 1 to mainstream radio, 1 to country radio, and 1 to AAA radio. The singles in that order were Cardigan, Betty, Exile, featuring Bon Iver, and Willow, Nobody, No Crime, featuring Haim, Coney Island, featuring The National, respectively. 244. In Germany, Folklore was supported by another single, The One. 245. The lead singles from each album, Cardigan and Willow, debuted atop the Billboard Hot 100 the same week their parent albums debuted atop the Billboard 200, making Swift the first artist to debut atop both the U.S. singles and albums charts simultaneously. 246. Each album sold over 1 million units worldwide in its first week, with Folklore selling 2 million. 247-248. Folklore broke the Guinness World Record for the highest first-day album streams by a female artist on Spotify, 249, and was the best-selling album of 2020 in the U.S., having sold 1.2 million copies. 250. Swift was 2020's highest-paid musician in the U.S., and highest paid solo musician worldwide. 251. At the 2020 American Music Awards, Swift won 3 awards, including Artist of the Year for a record third consecutive time. 252. Folklore won Album of the Year at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards, making Swift the first woman in history to win the award 3 times. 253. Following the Masters controversy, Swift released the first re-recording of her back catalog, Fearless, Taylor's version, on April 9, 2021. The re-recording of her 2008 album Fearless peaked atop the Billboard 200, becoming the first re-recorded album to do so, 254, and was preceded by 3 of its tracks, Love Story, Taylor's version, You All Over Me with Maren Morris, and Mr. Perfectly Fine. 255, Love Story, Taylor's version, the re-recording of Swift's 2008 single Love Story, made Swift the second artist after Dolly Parton to have both the original and the re-recording of a single at #1 on the Hot Country Songs. 256, Swift released Wildest Dreams, Taylor's version, the re-recording of her 2015 single Wildest Dreams, on September 17, 2021, after the original song gained traction on the online video sharing app, TikTok. 257, the second re-recording of her back catalog, Red, Taylor's version. The re-recording of her 2012 album Red, was released on November 12, 2021. 258, its promotional single, All Too Well, 10-minute version, an extended version of Red's track All Too Well debuted at #1 on the Hot 100, becoming the longest song in history to top the chart. 259, Swift was the highest paid female musician of 2021. 260. In addition to solo material, Swift featured on the single Gasoline, from the expanded edition of Haim's 2020 album Women in Music Part 3, 261, and 2 songs, Renegade and Birch, from indie folk band Big Red Machine's 2021 album How Long Do You Think It's Gonna Last? 262. In May 2021, Swift was awarded the Global Icon Award by the Brit Awards 263, and the Songwriter Icon Award by the National Music Publishers Association. 264. A short film written and directed by Swift, All Too Well, was released alongside Red, Taylor's version, on November 12, 2021. It is titled after and features the extended re-recording of her 2012 song by the same name, and stars herself, Sadie Sink, and Dylan O'Brien. 265, Swift was also cast in David O. Russell's untitled film slated for release on November 4, 2022. 266-267. Artistry. Influences. Shania Twain wearing a white dress is standing holding a microphone and smiling. Stevie Nicks is pictured on stage holding a microphone and looking to her left. Shania Twain, left, and Stevie Nicks, right, have influenced Swift. One of Swift's earliest musical memories is listening to American opera singer and her maternal grandmother, Marjorie Finley, sing in church. 6. As a child, she enjoyed Disney film soundtracks. My parents noticed that, once I had run out of words, I would just make up my own. 268. Swift has said she owes her confidence to her mother, who helped her prepare for class presentations as a child. 269. She also attributes her fascination with writing and storytelling to her mother. 270. Swift was drawn to the storytelling aspect of country music, 271, and was introduced to the genre listening to the great female country artists of the 90s Shania Twain, Faith Hill, and the Dixie Chicks. 272-273, Twain, both as a songwriter and performer, was her biggest musical influence. 274, Hill was Swift's childhood role model. Everything she said, did, wore, I tried to copy it. 275, she admired the Dixie Chicks' defiant attitude and their ability to play their own instruments. 276, Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer was the first song Swift learned to play on the guitar. 277, Swift also explored the music of older country stars such as Patsy Cline, Loretta Lynn, Tammy Wynette, and Dolly Parton. 23, the latter of whom she believes is an amazing example to every female songwriter out there. 278, and alt country artists like Patty Griffin. 279, and Lori McKenna. 13, she has also cited Keith Urban's musical style as an influence. 280. Swift has also been influenced by various pop and rock artists. She lists Paul McCartney, Bruce Springsteen, Bryan Adams. 281, Emmylou Harris, Chris Christopherson, and Carly Simon as her career role models. Discussing McCartney and Harris, Swift has said, they've taken chances, but they've also been the same artist for their entire careers. 13. 282, McCartney, both as a Beatle and a solo artist, makes Swift feel as if I've been let into his heart and his mind. He's out there continuing to make his fans so happy. Any musician could only dream of a legacy like that. 283, she likes Springsteen for being so musically relevant after such a long period of time. 284, she aspires to be like Harris as she grows older because of prioritizing music over fame. 285, Swift says of Christopherson that he shines in songwriting. 286, and admires Simon for being unemotional but a strong person. 287, her synth-pop album 1989 was influenced by some of her favorite 1980s pop acts, including Peter Gabriel, Annie Lennox, Phil Collins, and Madonna. 288-289, as a songwriter, Swift was influenced by Joni Mitchell for her autobiographical lyrics conveying the deepest emotions. She wrote it about her deepest pains and most haunting demons. I think, Blue, is my favorite because it explores somebody's soul so deeply. 290. Musical styles. If there's one thing that Swift has proven throughout her career, it's that she refuses to be put in a box. Her ever-evolving sound took her from country darling to pop phenom to folk's newest track on tour. The Recording Academy, 2021. 291. Swift's discography spans country, pop, folk, and alternative genres. 292. Her first 3 studio albums Taylor Swift, Fearless and Speak Now are categorized as country. 293. Her eclectic 4th studio album, Red, is dubbed both country and pop. 131. Her next 3 albums 1989, Reputation and Lover are labeled pop, and Folklore and Evermore are considered alternative. 293. Music critics have described her songs as synth pop. 294. Country pop. 295. Rock. 294. Electropop. 296. And indie, amongst others. 297. Some songs, especially those on Reputation, incorporate elements of R&B, EDM, hip-hop, and trap. 298-299. The music instruments Swift plays include the piano, banjo, ukulele and various types of guitar. 300-301. Swift described herself as a country artist until the release of 1989, which she characterized as her first sonically cohesive pop album. 302. Rolling Stone wrote, Swift might get played on the country station, but she's one of the few genuine rock stars we've got these days. 303. According to the New York Times, there isn't much in Miss Swift's music to indicate country: a few banjo strums, a pair of cowboy boots worn on stage, a bedazzled guitar, but there's something in her winsome, vulnerable delivery that's unique to Nashville. 304. The Guardian wrote that Swift cranks melodies out with the pitiless efficiency of a Scandinavian pop factory. 305. Consequence pinpointed her capacity to continually reinvent while remaining herself. 306. While Time dubbed Swift a musical chameleon for the constantly evolving sound of her discography. 307. Clash said her career has always been one of transcendence and covert boundary pushing, reaching a point at which Taylor Swift is just Taylor Swift, not defined by any genre. 308. Voice. Swift possesses a mezzo-soprano vocal range. 309. Her singing voice is sweet but soft according to Sophie Scilacci of The Hollywood Reporter. 310. Pitchfork's Sam Sodomsky called it versatile and expressive. 311. Music theory professor Alyssa Barna described the timbre of Swift's upper register as breathy and bright, and her lower register full and dark. 312. The Los Angeles Times identified Swift's defining vocal gesture in studio recordings as the line that slides down like a contented sigh or up like a raised eyebrow, giving her beloved girl time hits their air of easy intimacy. 313. In 2010, a writer from the Tennessean conceded that Swift was not the best technical singer, but described her as the best communicator that we've got. 314. Her vocal ability is something that has often concerned Swift in her early career, and she has put a lot of work into improving it. 315. She said she only feels nervous performing live if I'm not sure what the audience thinks of me, like at award shows. 316. In 2011, Rolling Stone wrote, Swift's voice is unaffected enough to mask how masterful she has become as a singer. She lowers her voice for the payoff lines in the classic mode of a shy girl trying to talk tough. 317. The Village Voice wrote that her phrasing was previously bland and muddled, but that's changed. She can still sound strained and thin, and often strays into a pitch that drives some people crazy, but she's learned how to make words sound like what they mean. 318. In 2014, NPR Music described her singing as personal and conversational thanks to her exceptional gift for inflection, but also suffered from a wobbly pitch and tight, nasal delivery. 319. The Hollywood Reporter wrote that her live vocals were fine, but did not match those of her peers. 310. Swift was praised for refusing to correct her pitch with auto-tune. 320. In 2020, Variety critic Andrew Barker said Swift has developed remarkable control over her vocals, never allowing a flourish or a tricky run to compromise the clarity of a lyric, while doing wonders within her register and exploring its further reaches. 321. Reviewing Swift's 2021 re-recording of Fearless, the New York Times critic Lindsay Zoladz wrote that her voice became stronger, more controlled, and deeper over time, discarding the nasal tone of her early vocals. 322. Lucy Harbron of Clash opined that Swift's vocals have evolved into her own unique blend of country, pop and indie. 323. Songwriting. I love songwriting so much because there's an element to it that is still really mysterious, like I think any songwriter will tell you. When you get an idea you're not quite sure where it floated down from, but if you can grab onto that idea and turn it into something, a piece of music, that's where craftsmanship comes in, that's where you have the opportunity to learn and to nurture that craft. Swift on the Art of Songwriting, Variety 324. Swift has been referred to as one of the greatest songwriters of all time and the best of her generation by various publications and organizations. 325, 326, 327. In a 2011 interview with The New Yorker, Swift identified primarily as a songwriter. I write songs, and my voice is just a way to get those lyrics across. 13. Swift's personal experiences were a common inspiration for her early songs, which helped her navigate the complexities of life. 328-329, her diaristic technique began with identifying an emotion, followed by a corresponding melody. 330-331, on her first 3 studio albums, recurring themes were love, heartbreak, and insecurities, from an adolescent perspective. 332-333, she delved into the tumult of toxic relationships on Red. 334, and embraced nostalgia and positivity after failed relationships on 1989. 335. Reputation was inspired by the downsides of Swift's fame. 336. And Lover detailed her realization of the full spectrum of love. 337. Besides romance, other themes in Swift's music include parent-child relationships, friendships. 338-339, alienation, and self-awareness. 270-340. Music critics often praise her self-written discography. 341, especially her confessional narratives. 342, they compliment her writing for its vivid details and emotional engagement, which were rare among pop artists. 343-344, New York Magazine argued that Swift was the first teenage artist who explicitly portrayed teenage experiences in her music. 345, Rolling Stone described Swift as a songwriting savant with an intuitive gift for verse-chorus-bridge architecture. 346, although reviews of Swift are generally positive, The New Yorker stated she was generally portrayed more as a skilled technician than as a Dylan-esque visionary. 13. Because of her confessional narratives, tabloid media often speculated and linked the subjects of the songs with ex-lovers of Swift, a practice which New York Magazine considered sexist, inasmuch as it's not asked of her male peers. 343-347, aside from clues provided in album liner notes, Swift avoided talking about song subjects specifically. 348, in a 2013 interview with Vanity Fair, Swift stated that the criticism on her songwriting, critics interpreted her persona as a clingy, insane, desperate girlfriend in need of making you marry her and have kids with her was a little sexist. 349. On her 2020 albums Folklore and Evermore, Swift was inspired by escapism and romanticism to explore fictional narratives. 350, without referencing her personal life, she imposed her emotions onto imagined characters and story arcs, which liberated her from the mental stress caused by tabloid attention and suggested new paths for her artistry. 330, in a feature for Rolling Stone, Swift explained that she welcomed the new songwriting direction after she stopped worrying about commercial success. I always thought, that'll never track on pop radio, but when I was making Folklore, I thought, if you take away all the parameters, what do you make? 350, with the release of Evermore, Spin found Swift exploring exceedingly complex human emotions with precision and devastation. 351, Consequence stated her 2020 albums offered a chance for doubters to see Swift's songwriting power on full display, but the truth is that her pen has always been her sword and that her writing prowess took different forms as she transformed from teenage wonderkind to a conference,